You are listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector here at the Private Officer Beat Radio. Every week you'll hear breaking news, topics of training, information for the industry of security, public safety, and law enforcement. So strap in, hang on, we're about to speed off in this episode of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Hello, everyone. We begin this broadcast today, June the 14th, 2021, with very disturbing and sad news in a way that we do not like to begin our radio shows. But during the past 7 days, 6 security officers have been murdered, 2 losing their lives just this past weekend on Saturday in Long Beach, California. 2 security officers sitting inside a security shack was killed violently by a speeding vehicle driving reckless into a senior complex, the vehicle striking the security shack. 2 security officers were critically injured. The man then attacked them further before fleeing. Both succumbed to their injuries. North Carolina police there are looking for a man who carjacked and killed a security officer, shooting him several times, leaving him in the parking lot for hours. In Florida, police there are looking for a suspect who kidnapped a security officer from a condominium complex in Tampa and then brought her across a bridge into Pinellas County, where he then killed her and set her afire. Police also still looking for another suspect in the Friday shooting and murder of a retired deputy sheriff working as a security officer in Gary, Indiana. He was ambushed, attacked, and murdered prior to the bank robbery. Security officer in New York City murdered last week on Wednesday. Police have no suspects. They do not know the cause of the confrontation that led to the murder. These were all on-duty security officers. As we have been speaking for months, the rise in violence is not only affecting our law enforcement, but our security personnel as well. Please keep these families in your prayers and memories as Private Officer International continues to reach out to the families to assist them in any way that we can. Thank you. Hello, everyone, to this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio on this Monday, stormy Monday morning, I might add, the 13th of June, 2021. We're thankful that you have joined us here on the program. We have a lot to talk about. I know that last week I missed a few things that we wanted to cover. We often run out of time on our program, and unfortunately, we have to kind of whittle down what's more important to discuss in the limited amount of time that we have. Of course, I'm your host, Rick McCann. We're here every week, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, just like we were here yesterday talking about the LP zone, the loss prevention zone, where everything is all about retail security, asset protection, loss prevention, fraud, retail fraud, uniform security at the the mall and the big boxes, ORC, organized retail crime, and so much more. So if you missed that program, thank goodness, you can go back anytime, 24/7, even 10 years from now, and listen to it right here on our own platform. Or iHeartRadio now is carrying live and streaming our radio programs, as is the Amazon Radio Network and multiple other locations, including Spotify, iTunes, so on and so forth. So be sure to give them a listen, even if you want to listen back 5, 8, 12, 15. We've had the radio show for 17 years. We're up to about 560 episodes, a lot of good stuff that is still relevant today that we recorded way back in the early years. So we're pretty excited to have that type of historical radio shows that are still available for anyone who wants to hear them. And of course, on the internet, we have a lot of listeners way across the pond, as they say, and all around the world. And so wherever you're listening to, whatever time of day or night it might be, thank you and welcome. Today, like always, I have a lot of things that I want to discuss, but unfortunately, tragedy has hit 3 times last week. 3 security officers murdered on the job. And as I keep saying over and over again, there seems to be really no stopping it. We hear about law enforcement being shot and being involved in lethal force incidents. We don't always hear about private security or special police being in that same situation, but they are often, and in fact, more times than we even know, and we have a full-time news staff that keeps track of this every day, 7 days a week, even during holidays. The first deadly incident last week occurred when a security officer working in the Tampa area at a condominium went missing while working on the job. And her sister became quite concerned because her vehicle was still on the property, and she notified Tampa police to make a report. And as Tampa police was arriving at the condominium to talk with the relative, the sister, a call went out at about the same time across the Sunshine Bridge, which is between Tampa and Pinellas County. Hillsborough County is on one side and Pinellas is on the other. And that call was for a brush fire. And as firefighters rushed to the scene and put out that fire, they realized there's something more besides just debris and brush. And what they found was the body of the missing security officer. Now, police know that she was murdered and set afire. They also know that she was taken by kidnapping against her will from the condominium and killed shortly afterwards, but they don't know why, although recent statements from police in Florida say they have a suspect, but they're not saying what the connection is and whether or not they knew each other, whether or not they're related, or how they came to meet each other, or anything else. We are staying on top of this. This is a very serious, troubling, sad, terrible crime, and on the other hand, intriguing, because we do see people, security officers, kidnapped while on the job, but most of the time it's for their vehicle or money, and that does not seem to be the case here. It seems more personal, or maybe it was retaliative in nature. We don't know. Also, security officer murdered this week in New York. We're still tracking the information. There's very little information coming out of New York on this murder, but he was on duty, and we're going to be tracking this week, this and other stories as we put together the details A third security officer was murdered on Friday afternoon, a retired 35-year veteran of law enforcement who retired from the Cook County Sheriff's Department in Illinois, that's Chicago. He was working security in uniform at a Gary, Indiana bank. Now, Gary, Indiana is just a stone throw from Chicago, and it's a bad city. I hate to say that. I don't like to discourage people from going to cities or towns or states. And I know that a lot of areas are still coming back, not only from COVID, but from recession. And Gary, Indiana is one of those. And there are some areas that's in that community that's on the rebound. But unfortunately, this retired deputy sheriff was working at a bank when he was ambushed. And outside video from the bank, now released on Saturday, shows that there were two robbers, one with a long gun, it looks like a AR-15 type platform, and the other with a handgun, ambushed the security officer. Now, interviews by the media of customers and people that work in the area say this security officer was friendly, well-liked, talked like he was just a regular person, not down to anyone, and he was always walking around the parking lot. In fact, video shows him doing just that prior to being ambushed. He was patrolling the parking lot. But while walking, patrolling, these two men crept up on him and shot and killed him prior to committing the bank robbery. They then entered and robbed the bank. One suspect was captured. There was a large manhunt, and law enforcement captured one suspect Friday, not too far from where this incident happened, and one suspect is still outstanding. I do not have the exact numbers of how many security officers have died thus far from non-COVID related incidents. My last look at the statistics probably last month, I believe there were around 30 or 40 security officer deaths that were assault and murdered related. We'll get those numbers to you later this week. I know that the numbers are up, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon as we continue to discuss about security engaging in more law enforcement type duties, more interactive duty, more proactive duty, more response duty, more detaining and arresting persons. Just had a long conversation yesterday with a fellow in New York and with a friend of mine in California talking about this very subject, how security, not just because of defund the police, really but long before that. Actually, it all started around 9/11 when security officers were being used for much more than just access control. We're seeing, especially in the 5-7 year period, that security is used more often on incident response, alarm response, engaging persons who are committing either property violations or criminal acts, and therefore putting them in harm's way. We have on the other side of our company, Armor College, our sister company, we have a class going right now about private police business. Policing has been privatized for many years, not only here in the U.S., but in many, many countries. Prisons are privatized. Probation service is privatized. We have a company called Public Safety Services, Community Public Safety Services, and right now we are probably for the first time, in 3 or 4 years, seeing the need for our service, the demand for our service. And if you want to check out some of the things that we offer, go to Public Safety Services, I believe it's .org, and you'll see there are a lot of things that private security are doing. In fact, more than 20 years ago in Alabama, a security company, a friend of mine, he contracted with the town to answer non-criminal calls. They would patrol and they would answer barking dog complaints. They would answer littering complaints. They would answer calls and take a report for vandalism. And the town had no police during the day, a couple of part-time officers in the evening, and the security company was their eyes and ears. Now we're seeing this all over the country. Just this past week, there's a very famous upscale area of Atlanta, Georgia called Buckhead. There are several other areas in that same city that hire off-duty police and have their own private police force. And now I just saw where this past week, because of the rise in violence, they want to start their own real police agency, not hiring from the APD, but hiring their own and getting their own private police. Right now, we do have that private police business program happening at Armour College. If you're interested, contact them and see what it's all about. Contact help desk at Armour, ARMOUR, college.org. Private policing is a big business. Right now, a number of security companies have switched from static security to subscription-based response because police are understaffed. They don't have the officers to respond to many of the routine ho-hum type calls, and now security are responding. And like I said, Community Public Safety Service, that's one of the things that we do, and we're pushing this even more. And if you want to engage your security company in a whole new aspect of security, this is the way to go. And you can contact us for more information at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We are going to take a break. We got a lot to talk about. This is a very busy week. And I just want to encourage you to check out our friends at Body Armor USA. If you haven't been over there, let me tell you, they've got everything that you need to protect yourself, whether you are security, corrections, law enforcement, it doesn't matter. Our friends there will take care of you. I guarantee it. I know there are a lot of different, companies out there, and they all kind of say the same thing, and they all kind of sell the same thing. And sometimes it really is just hard to tell who's got the best, who's legitimate, and who isn't. But I can tell you that our friends at Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. Check them out right now on the web or give them a call today. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. If you would prefer to give them a call and ask, hey, this is what I do, this is what I'm thinking I need. I'm not really sure what I need. Can you help me out? They will be able to consult with you and tell you, hey, I don't think you need threat level 3. I think that a 2 might do it. Give them a call, 516-817-1666, area code 516-817-1666. Body Armor USA. We'll be right back.
For some children, America isn't the land of promise. It's a place where every day is a struggle. Because today in America, 1 in 6 children lives below the poverty line. For these children, living in poverty means going without medicine, going without food, going without a warm home, or even a roof over your head. And that's life for nearly 13 million children of all races, all across America. Where will you draw the line and get involved? You can help these children and their families find a way out of poverty for good. And you can make a difference in more ways than you think. Will you help? Go to povertyusa.org today, because 1 in 6 children in poverty is one too many. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Hi, everyone. Did you know that one organ donor can save up to 8 lives? The need for organ donors now is greater than ever. 120,000 people right now in the U.S. are waiting for an organ transplant. 95% of Americans support organ donation, but only a little over half are registered. My charity, Health Corps, has teamed up with Donate Life and Organize.org to save up to 500,000 lives by getting 62,500 folks to register as organ donors. If you're not registered, click the Register Now link to stand up and be counted. And when you're done, go on Facebook and tell us your story and add my hashtag organs will. For example, you might say, hashtag organs will make a difference. I'm an organ donor. Are you?
Thank you for waiting for us. We are back here on the Private Officer Beat Radio. 11 weeks packed full training, starting with the process of becoming law enforcement, which is not like going in and applying for a job. You go through an interview and they throw you a badge and a gun. No. To become a police officer, many times it takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months to complete the whole cycle from the interview process to the academy. Many people wash out. Many people don't make it. It's not easy, and it's not for everyone. Well, this past 11 weeks, the Armor College Citizens Police Academy has graduated more than 36 citizen cadets. They've done an excellent job, and we certainly enjoyed our first ever Citizens Police Academy. It's open to anyone, anywhere, and from now on, from this day forward, the Police Academy will be sponsored twice a year in the spring and the fall. So if you missed this past academy, well, later in September, early October, we will have another one. If you don't get our daily news blog alerts or our news alerts, or you're not even a POI or an Armor member, be sure to go to our website at privateofficer.org. A box will drop down and you can just fill it out, and you'll get our breaking news alerts as well as announcements for training, upcoming events such as the Citizens Police Academy, and so much more. We also invite you to become a member of the Private Officer International family. We have members in multiple countries throughout the U.S. as well. You're going to get more than 50 member benefits, including a free academy and so much more. In fact, right now, we're announcing a special deal for our POI members. In 2 weeks from now, we will be offering a 3-week free course called False Alarm Prevention. How to prevent false alarms, what causes false alarms. We're talking about burglar and fire alarms, and also how alarms work, and we're going to get into a little bit of the technical aspect as well. This is absolutely free. You want to find out more information, contact help desk at armorcollege.org, or just hold on. If you're getting our emails already, we'll be announcing it. In 2 weeks, you'll be able to sign up. Now, if you are not a member of POI, it's $39.95. Very, very reasonable. $39.95. But I really want to encourage you to sign up to become a member of POI today. And that reminds me, if you're in the metropolitan Charlotte area, North Carolina, right there along that border between South Carolina, Rock Hill, and Charlotte Metro, and you need security training, North Carolina PPS, or maybe the South Carolina SLED security, armed or unarmed, or maybe first aid, or maybe just citizen defensive tactics, contact our friend John over at the Premier Training Academy, area code 704-806-4933, area code 704-806-4933, or check them out online at premiertrainingacademy.com. I'm telling you, they are great people over there. We deal with some really great people, both our sponsors, our members. We're really like a family. In fact, if you are a member and you haven't said hello lately, please do call us up anytime or send us an email at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Now, I do want to mention that we are planning a pretty substantial trip. In fact, we're still in the agenda phase of it, and it may become a larger trip. If you want to have us stop in for a day or two and do some training at your facility, your business, your hospital, your church, we offer more than 400 courses and certifications. Contact us today at area code 804-290-4388. That is the Armor College main phone number, or send an email, helpdesk@armourcollege.org. Also, this is going to kind of coincide almost with the beginning of our annual memorial service, which always begins in August. We have the service the third week of September, but we can hold services early. If you'd like to be part of that memorial service that we do every year, contact us here at Private Officer at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Hope we're not mixing you guys up. Armor and POI are separate entities. We have separate staff that take care of different, departments, areas. But if you just want to remember helpdesk@privateofficer.com, that'll work too. We'll get that message over to Armor and get that taken care of for you. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of things are happening, and unfortunately, we did have bad news last week with 3 security officers that were murdered on the job, and many, 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 many others assaulted. I just saw about a month ago a statement from a sheriff in Florida who said that in his state, security officers are assaulted more frequently than law enforcement. When he made that statement, I checked our statistics, our database, and yes, that is a true fact, more than 2 to 1. But also, statistically, a security officer in the U.S. is murdered about every 48 hours. We're not talking about dying from COVID. We're not talking about dying from a heart attack. We're talking about death from an assault. We have had in the last maybe 18 months, we've had probably the most shootings by security officers. We have a lot of security officers that are involved in lethal force incidents every year, but it seems like the last few years, even during COVID, it just seemed like those numbers increased, and we are tracking those numbers, and we're going to release some true facts. In fact, we've talked with the media, Security Magazine. We've talked with a couple of other security associations, I guess, if you will. But I don't think that people in the security industry understand or believe the true numbers of security personnel, not just uniformed security staff, but also loss prevention, asset protection, proprietary security. They don't really believe the numbers that are assaulted and killed, even though we put the information out, and it's easily tracked. And these are just the numbers that we can confirm, not even the numbers that are true numbers, unlike the COVID stats, which who knows what the real numbers are. But we know that with our year in and our quarterly statistics, that those numbers are not reflective of everyone who's been injured, assaulted, or killed, because a lot of these do not get reported in the mainstream media, nor do the owners want to make them public. And that is the sad thing. Last year we called 2 security companies, one in New York, a very, well, I'll just tell you, it was Securitas, and one in Texas, a regional security company. And neither one of them wanted to get involved in talking about the murders of their security staff on duty, and neither one wanted to be interviewed on our radio program, and neither one would even identify their employee's name. We were able to figure that out a short time later, but that's how our industry goes, and that's unfortunate. That goodness, it's just unfortunate that companies don't value their employees to the degree that other first responders and public safety staffs, do. On the same note, I want to remind you that Private Officer International, going into our 18th year, we have a benevolent team. So I really would encourage you, command you would be a better word, to get involved in our benevolent team. And that really just encompasses that you would help, go out and give the condolences to the family, maybe attend a funeral if possible. And it doesn't happen every day, thank goodness, or every week, but probably a couple of times a year in each of your jurisdictions or area in which you live. We would compensate you. We would take care of your travel and some other things. If you're interested, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. helpdesk@privateofficer.com. When we come back, I want to talk about 3 things. Let me write this down because I'm probably going to forget it. I want to make sure that we definitely get it out there. We want to talk about Command Staff College. Now, let me just say this. This is the first private and the only private Command Staff College that we're aware of nationwide. We have done quite a bit of research. This is going to be huge. Number 2, we are scheduling a conference call for anyone who wants to be on this call next Monday, and that's going to be, let me just pop up my calendar. It'll be the 21st. I am scheduled to be in Montana, but that date might be moved ahead a little bit. But even if I am in Montana, we're going to make it happen. If you want to be on the conference call and talk about workplace safety, workplace violence, how to better prepare, how to, train, recognize, and respond to workplace violence, we'll be sending out an email midweek this week that will give you all the pertinent information. The third thing that I want to talk about when I come back is awards and how you can be a benefit to our industry, to our association, and to your community. And we're coming right back. You're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio.
In a minute, I'm going to drown in this pool, surrounded by friends and relatives. That's because Dad thinks Mom is watching me, and Mom thinks Dad is. But actually, nobody is watching me. And you rarely make a sound when you're struggling to move.
Don't assume someone else is watching. Become a water watchdog at abbyshope.org.
I was just going to the grocery store.
Seatbelt violators, beware.
I forgot to put it on.
If you're pulled over because you've broken the law.
Oh, it's so uncomfortable.
And you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's broken, but I was going to have it fixed.
No matter what your excuse is, you will get a ticket in addition to the ticket for your original violation.
Click it or ticket? That's pretty easy to remember.
This past week, Armour College launched the only private command staff college that we are aware of in the U.S. And we're very excited about this. We've been talking about it for a number of months, but we had to put a lot of things together. We're working with several other entities, and we wanted to make sure that this was all done correct and that it would be exactly what we want it to be, exactly what we hoped it to be, and that is the most professional command staff college that you could ever enter for the private sector and the public sector, including law enforcement. Now, command staff colleges were established, in case you don't know this, for the military, and many military entities command staff colleges to train their command staff to the next level, and in a lot of different curriculum and topics, depending on what area that they were in charge of or trying to get to go to. For instance, if you were involved in aviation, there might be a command staff aviation unit, and they would talk about supervising and managing the aviation division. We have looked at this for quite some time. It's not easy to put together, especially at the level that we have, and we wanted to make sure that we had not only all of our ducks in a row, but our curriculum and our connections with the other entities that are involved, and also the right people in place to be able to not only offer it, but for it to come off as well as our Citizens Academy did, thankfully, because of our connections and having the right people. Command Staff College, a new college offered now through Armour College, will be a substantial feather in your cap. A 16-week, 146-hour course online, but with some practicals and with some interactions with other students in the class. There will be both the normal lecture, which we deliver by video, audio, as well as text documents, but you'll also have practical aspects where it'll be hands-on. I'll tell you more about that later. No books are needed. There will be a couple of books recommended, but not necessary. If you want to find out what it covers, we've sent out over the weekend, email to all of those who receive our emails, and it describes every topic. Well, maybe not every. It describes a lot of topics. How about that? But there's about 35 topics, and it ranges from everything from establishing comprehensive training programs and supervision and management levels, HR issues that are, unfortunately, they are changing every day, and it is very difficult to stay on top of, and so much more. In fact, the 16-week, 146-hour management level program, the registration is open for the first session. Only 20 people will be accepted. Only 20 people. It begins on July the 7th. It is a curriculum that's been expanded to include both public and private law enforcement, contract and proprietary security, supervisory, management personnel, and owners. The Command Staff program will prepare you for what's happening in our world today, to become the elite of the elite. There are many aspects to this program. It will not be just a sit there and listen sit there and read a couple of pages, although we have structured it in such a way as it's not going to take you 10 or 15 hours a week. You should be able to do it all within a few hours every week. If you've never taken a course through Armor College, we put the material in a secured online classroom that you have access to for 7 days, 24 hours a day, as often as you want. You can review, you can read, you can stop, you can listen to one lecture today, one tonight. It's all going to be in your hands. I think that is pretty cool. We just got the name a short time ago, Richard Castellana, 55. Richard Castellana was the retired deputy sheriff that was killed in Gary, Indiana, murdered while he worked security at the bank. Richard Castellana, 55. Tragic. If you want more information about the Command Staff College, send an email to helpdesk@armor, A-R-M-O-U-R, college.org. Remember, only accepting 20 people. All right, the conference call I talked about before going to break. This is open to non-members and members of the association. We really want you to get on and let's talk about how to better protect our security staff. Now, I want to caution you. You can talk about whatever you want on the call. We're not going to, limit you or hang up on you if you say something that we don't like. And we're not going to lock you out. Never can you call again. No, we're not going to do that. But unfortunately, we cannot resolve the pay issue. We have discussed pay and benefit issues, I don't know how many times, dozens over the years. It's not something within our control, so we cannot help you there. We want to talk about safety. We want to talk about protective wear, clothing, vests, bulletproof vests. We want to talk about more training with weapons, and things that really you can do on your own without money. The third thing that I was talking about before going to break is awards. Now, we give a lot of awards. We have an annual award program, which not many people took advantage of this year. So we are going to start it up again in September. Maybe this time will work better. But I have a bone to pick with POI members. And it's not very often that I get on here and politicize or use the soapbox to, crack the whip or punish anybody. But in recent months, we've contacted several POI members, my office did, about helping us to present an award to a person, two people actually, and that we would send that award, the plaque, and we would send the information, and we would compensate the POI member if they would just drive a short distance. In one case, it wasn't more than 5 or 6 miles. In another, I think it was around 20. We would compensate them for their time. And in both cases, someone said, I'll think about it. I'm kind of busy. Well, we understand busy. You want to look at my schedule? You want to look at our staff schedule 7 days a week? We understand that. But POI is a very special organization, the only one of its kind nationwide. Search it out. Okay, there are a couple of state organizations, associations. There are a couple of other international security / police or law enforcement organizations. You know who they are? I don't have to remind you. But they don't do what we do. They don't offer what we offer. And they don't consider their members as part of the team. They're just members who pay a fee, and they don't get a whole lot in return. We have so many different things that we do, and if this is your first time listening, I ask that you go to our website at privateofficer.org. There's a video on the front page about how to get involved and what we do. Go to the web, type in Private Officer International. Dozens and dozens of articles will come up. We do probably more than even most law enforcement organizations. And we do it not because we have to. We do it because we want to provide a service to the private industry as well as our special private police that no one else is doing. And we're not making $1 million. We're not making $1 trillion, $1 billion from it. And so when our office asks, once in a blue moon that you as a member do something for us, I understand you're busy, but please, try and accommodate our needs, because we need you in the area to send us news information. We need you in your area to get involved, to become participants of all of the things that we're trying to do, not just an onlooker. Too many people are onlookers. Everybody knows what should have been done. Everybody knows who screwed up. But you know what? You're not doing it. They're not doing it. Get involved. Be a participant. Over the last few weeks, we spoke about a gentleman who retired in Northern Virginia after 42 years as a security officer at one high school. I'll probably talk about this gentleman for a long time. In an interview with a local TV station, he said, I just had to show up. I knew I could make a difference if I would just show up. And he did show up in a big way. Please, gentlemen, ladies, if you're a member of POI, if you want to be involved, we got so many different things that you could do. We have a number of committees. You could represent us in awards, in the benevolent area, and so much more. Contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com. All right, I did get through those 3 things that I wanted to talk about. We got a lot more to talk about. When we come back, we got some news, and then we got a topic. I haven't mentioned the topic yet. It's very secretive. I can't tell nobody. Hush, hush. We'll tell you when we get back.
You don't know what it's like until you're a parent. Letting go.
Because we used to protect her.
But now with the Smart Pepper Spray from Sabre, we can feel a little better knowing that if something happens, she can protect herself. Not only is it the #1 pepper spray brand, it also has smart features to connect us instantly when it matters most. The Smart Pepper Spray connects via Bluetooth to the free Sabre Personal Safety app. With her selected contacts loaded into the app, we receive an alert if and when the pepper spray is deployed. Even better, the alert links to a map where we can geo-track her exact location to make sure she gets to safety. We also opted into the Sabre Premium Monitoring Service to make sure that if needed, local police will be alerted and given the ability to track and help her. That's all built on top of Sabre's maximum strength formula for maximum stopping power, with a 10-foot range and 25 bursts per canister.
So, if she's ever in a dangerous situation,
we'll know.
Is everything okay?
I'm fine. I just got scared, but I'm fine.
Thank goodness.
Because when you're a dad,
when you're mom,
knowing that your daughter, your loved ones are safe, that's everything.
Now, I said before going to the break, there were 3 topics that I just had to cover before I missed out and forget about them and move on, and then another episode has gone and I have forgotten to mention some important topics. Well, I got through those, and then I was reminded during break, hey, you got 3 more. What 3 more? What? Sure enough, I've got 3 other things I need to talk about, but we're going to talk about 2 of them. We have been talking for, about a year, maybe a little bit more, about the Frontline Protectors, a docuseries that's going to be coming out this fall. It was going to happen last year, but COVID happened instead, And we were restricted as to traveling and filming and talking to people. But be sure to be looking for it. We'll be announcing the when, the where, the how. But we're recording some video and doing some what's called B-roll stuff right now. B-roll stuff right now, where it's film that is used, but it's not the primary subject or topic. And we're also putting together some trailers of the docuseries as marketing, so you'll be seeing those in the upcoming weeks. But another cool thing, we've decided to put together our own platform, media platform, and we're going to accept limited content from others, our POI members first and then non-members second. And that will be podcasts, if you have a podcast. If you have any video news that you want to include, that's cool. You have some other things, photos, other stuff that might be acceptable, we'll let you to submit it to us. Also, if you have video from your company, from your job, from your body camera, from your vehicle camera, or something that you have self-filmed, we need that video for our content, and we'll be happy to give you all rights and mention and all of that. Contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. So I think that was three things. One, our brand new platform, Frontline Protectors. Two, and by the way, it's going to be like Netflix or Peacock or Blaze TV or any of those other web-based TV platforms. It will have a paywall. We'll probably leave it open for a few weeks, maybe 30 days, to allow people to browse through it. But there will be a paywall, and it will be very inexpensive. Right now we're talking probably around $59 or $69 a year. I think everyone can afford that. It'll be educational, entertaining, and it will show you both the public and the private side of our protectors. And we have several shows already being produced right now, including one called Gone But Not Forgotten, where we not only address deaths of law enforcement and private security, but those who have been missing and never found. We'll be putting other shows in production over the next few months, over the summer, and we'll add content regularly. So be looking for that. I think it's going to be pretty cool. We talked about needing your video, and if you want to get involved, contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com. In the news this week, a former school security monitor, I guess that's kind of like an unarmed security officer, in Las Vegas has been arrested by the Clark County School District Police. 28-year-old Andre Fleming was booked Wednesday into jail for, fortunately, sexual charges, luring of a child, and one count of unlawful contact with a minor. Unfortunately, we see this regularly of school security people, personnel in schools, and that is definitely an issue that needs to be addressed by our industry and their employer. In Salem, Ohio, a security officer is accused of punching a patient during a verbal confrontation. Police were called to the Salem Regional Medical Center, where a patient said that while being treated, he got into a verbal altercation, nothing physical, with the security officer, and then the security officer got mad, swung on him, and threatened him. Police did not arrest either party, but informed them that they could go to the magistrate's office and seek a warrant there if they wanted to continue with it. In Morrill, Georgia, that's right outside the Atlanta metro area, A shooting at a mall, 1 injured, 7 people detained. Security on the scene of that 2 p.m. incident. Again, in the metro Atlanta area, there are a lot of shopping malls. All of them have usually unarmed security. In this situation, 25 bullet cases were left at the scene, so you can imagine the type of gunfight that was happening there. And, it's lucky that no one was killed. Also coming out of Atlanta this week, a Atlanta sushi restaurant employee shot a security officer. Police were called to a Midtown Atlanta restaurant Thursday night, the Raw Sushi Bar and Restaurant. That's 10th Street and Peachtree Street. Peachtree is a main avenue in the city of Atlanta. A confrontation was happening inside the restaurant with one of the employees. A security officer got involved, tried to intervene, and the employee turned a gun on him and shot him several times. The security officer has non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to make a full recovery. Coming out of Michigan, the Copper County Mental Health, they're going to try to switch from using law enforcement to civilians to transport those who have been deemed to need mental health services, or those that the court has deemed needs to go in for a psych eval. Now, the county wants to hire civilians. Again, nothing new. Actually, in Virginia, G4S won a contract award in several counties, a number of counties, about 18 months ago, and they do the same thing. Unarmed, they transport psych eval patients, something that the sheriff's department, they've done forever, but they just don't have the manpower, and so unfortunately they can no longer do it because of staffing issues, and now the contract was put out and G4S won it, and other locations also use civilians. Coming out of Washington, D.C. last week, the TSA, Transportation Security Administration, said, I'm sorry, but at about 130 of our airports across the country, we are short TSA screeners and officers, and there's going to be a large delay nationwide. Just be prepared. As the summer heats up, 2 million people were screened by the TSA this past Friday, according to the news from Homeland Security that we get every day. It said that 2 million passengers were screened just on Friday alone, and now 131 airports will be security personnel. So that is going to cause a conflict. A student preparing to rehearsal for a high school graduation was shot right there at the school in Roanoke, Virginia. He's taken to the hospital in good condition. The suspect is now in police custody. A woman pointed a loaded shotgun at a school bus carrying children in Oswego, New York this past week. Rita M. Powers, 42, is charged with reckless endangerment. Police say that she was on drugs, you think, when she pointed the gun at a bus with children, a shotgun, as they drove down the street. Charged with burglary. I'm not sure why. I think because she may have entered or tried to enter an area of the school bus. First-degree burglary, third-degree criminal possession of a weapon, both of those a felony. First-degree reckless endangerment, also a felony. Fourth-degree grand larceny, a felony. Second-degree menacing, a misdemeanor. Petty larceny, and she's been held without bond pending arraignment. Oh, boy. Something that we did not talk about yesterday on the LP Zone, but we will. Yesterday's topic was actually scrubbing checks and how easy it is to get a fake credit card or use a stolen credit card or a number. And we'll talk more about this subject here, but thieves in Palo Alto, California, swarmed a Louis Vuitton store. They stole over $100,000 worth of handbags. 11 suspects are being sought in this grand theft, felony, robbery, and it could even be considered a burglary if they brought in any tools to assist them. Police across the country are seeing the same very thing happening over and over and over again as more stores are not allowing their staff to attempt to detain these thieves, including loss prevention. They're told if you are overwhelmed to back off, call the police. That's it. Nashville, Tennessee, a security officer at a South Nashville motel, Hometown Studios on Murfreesboro Pike near Bradley. I know that area very well. Security officer on duty heard a gunshot and went to investigate. He found a person who had just been murdered. Because he was very quick in his actions, he was able to gain information on the suspect and the fleeing vehicle. Police made an arrest in that. And unfortunately, we did a news story and also a radio show a number of months ago about the number of murders and crime scenes that security officers actually not only come upon, but they're the ones who are calling in the crime to police. A medical University of South Carolina employee in Charleston has been arrested right there on campus after pointing a gun at her ex-boyfriend in the campus parking garage after she said he was deflating her tires. 28-year-old Quinita Shine has been arrested after police say that she put the gun in her purse and then hid it in the vehicle and told police she did not have a gun. Video clearly identified something different. In Maple Heights, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, a 73-year-old security officer was murdered about 2 years ago. He intervened in a conflict that was happening in the parking lot of a laundromat where he was on duty. Police say that Carl Sanders was assaulting two females that he had come to the laundromat with. They were all drunk or high, and he began threatening the women with a gun and began shooting at them. The security officer pulled his weapon and was killed. 73-year-old Carl Sanders, the security officer, died. It's tragic. It really is. In South Carolina, if you are unemployed, the South Carolina college system is offering technical college courses for free to train you to get a job in a specific area. And in fact, over in Virginia, the Virginia Sheriff's Institute just awarded a number of scholarships for individuals who wanted to go into criminal justice or law enforcement. And we're seeing a lot of free training being offered just to entice people to go and get educated and get a job. Coming out of Florida, a security officer was shot by a rapper named Pooh Shiesty. No comment. The 21-year-old shot the security officer at a nightclub. He's been arrested, and he has since bonded out. A security officer several years ago, in 2018 actually, shot and killed a man at a Walgreens. He was unarmed. A confrontation occurred, and the security officer has been arrested. Well, now the court in L.A. Superior Court, just overruled challenges from Walgreens about a lawsuit against Donald Ciotta and American Protection Group, and now the victim's family are suing Walgreens and the security company for millions of dollars. The court says it's legal. Let's go ahead with it. New Orleans, a security officer on patrol, armed carjacking. A 15-year-old was involved in an armed carjacking But that's not it. Police said that he's been on a 10-hour crime spree over the weekend in Uptown, 7th District, New Orleans. The security officer was able to stop him in the 5800 block of Reed Boulevard. Juvenile crime is definitely on the rise, not just there, but everywhere. A Fort Bend, Texas security deputy sheriff working as a security officer fatally shot a man this past week. He was working at the Knights of Columbus Hall. Now, the Knights, a national organization, often rents out the hall for parties, weddings, even concerts, and evidently a man was involved in a stabbing. The off-duty deputy who was working security confronted the man. He would not drop the knife, and the deputy fired fatal shots at the man. One final news item coming out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. That is a military city, a number of Army bases in that area. Well, a security officer was working at a closed hotel when he was ambushed, carjacked, robbed, and killed. 63-year-old Jerry Smothers had taken the job recently at the closed hotel when this incident happened. According to police, the security officer was found by his relief hours later, so it probably occurred overnight, and early in the morning, the oncoming security officer found him face down in the parking lot in a pool of blood. No suspects have been arrested. Private Officer International, our goal is to provide you with news, member benefits, services, and a whole lot more that you just cannot get elsewhere. Go to privateofficer.org and sign up today if you're not already a member. We'll be right. We do have a secret topic. We're not going to tell you until the last minute that we're going to be talking about. You're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio.
You wouldn't think the cafeteria would be a scary place.
There are 5.9 million kids in the U.S. living with food allergies.
It happens to me on the school bus.
And a third of kids with food allergies are bullied because of it. Right now, we're working on a cure for food allergies. Until then, there is a cure for food allergy bullying. You. Go to foodallergy.org to teach your kid about the seriousness of food allergies.
If I'm not at school, I can't get bullied.
Food allergy bullying. It's not a joke.
Welcome back. Starting every month, beginning with this month, we're going to have a whole week of spotlighting positive security. We want to highlight those security officers who have done the right thing, responded the right way, and made a true difference. In the news segment, in our newsletter, every month, you'll be able to see how many officers, not only here in the U.S., but across the world, really, across the globe, are making a difference in a positive way. From capturing the bad guy to becoming an integral part of their community. And I have myself in our security companies worked with low income, worked with nonprofits in the community. We have helped with back to school backpacks. We have helped with Feed the Children. We have helped with holiday offerings that were being made throughout these areas. And we know of other security companies and individuals who have also done the same. So we want to feature them and highlight them every month. If you have a security company or you know of a security employee who is making a difference in their community, whether that's, like I said, capturing a bad guy, or if they're out there working as a coach, or they are working in the community, volunteering, whatever it might be, we want to be able to spotlight them. Send that information to helpdesk@privateofficer.com, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Boy, today is a tough one. 6 security officers murdered, 1 kidnapped from her job site, murdered, and burnt to death. I don't see any major headlines. There were some local headlines when this occurred last week, but I don't see any major news headlines. There were a few national headlines when a security officer in Gary, Indiana was murdered during a bank robbery on Friday. Part of the reason is because the FBI is involved. It's a federal offense. And the other part was because he was a retired 35-year career deputy. And so that does make a difference, and it brings the media out more than it would if it was just an hourly security officer. We're at a breaking point, and as the crime, the violence continues to rise with little ways to attack it by law enforcement because of understaffing and a lack of funding, all of the defund the police. It is more imperative now than ever that the security industry prepare for what we're already seeing, an onslaught of crimes, violence, attacks against the security industry, those working the front line. In talking with a number of security owners in a number of states in recent months, actually since last year, I'm hearing the same thing. We're at a breaking point. Security personnel not taking their responsibility seriously in many cases. Clients not willing to step up and pay the premium price for the service that they want. Breaking point. Some states increasing their training requirement, and they should. The security industry at a breaking point, just as hard to recruit good security officers as it is to recruit good law enforcement. In speaking with my contacts in the security industry, business owners, they all have the same issues: recruitment, retention, no matter what they're paying. We have companies in the greater DC area. We have companies in New York who are paying $20, $23, $28 an hour. As I often say, the security industry is at the professional status these days. Like a paramedic, like a nurse practitioner, like all of our professions out there, security is being looked at as the stopgap for law enforcement. And with the increased violence and the attacks, we have to hire more than a warm body, more than just someone with a heartbeat. We need to train them, equip them, recruit the qualified person. And that's hard to do when you're only able to pay them a little bit more than minimum wage. But even when company owners are paying premium wages, the security officers themselves not taking the job serious, not taking their responsibility and duty serious. Now, don't get me wrong, because there's a lot of great security personnel in the country. We see every day what they are doing. We see the news headlines stopping bank robbers, stopping individuals involved in everything from theft to shootings. A security officer just this past week in Nashville, Tennessee, on patrol at a hotel, heard gunshots, immediately went to the area. I don't know if he was armed or unarmed, but he immediately went to the area of the gunshots instead of running to the office where he would be a little bit more secure. He ran toward the gunshots. He was able to see the shooter, the vehicle they left in, and assisted Nashville Metro Police in the capture of the suspect because of the security officer's quick response. Private security is doing great work, and they are making a difference. One of the reasons why we're going to begin to highlight them every month. But in listening to the security company owners themselves, some former military, former law enforcement. We have a lot of military personnel getting into the security industry. We have a lot of retired law enforcement, some taking early retirement in recent years, getting into the private sector. And in talking with these gentlemen, ladies, we've found and we've heard the same thing over and over. We're not going with static guards. We're not going with on-site security if we can't train, equip, and pay them the way that we want to. And talking with a very good close friend of mine just in recent days about what he's experiencing as a security company owner, I am convinced that what I'm seeing other companies doing, especially startups, is the way to go. And that is less static security and more service. Because with static security, we're there, but what services are we really providing other than possibly observe, report, and access control? Many security companies are going with the mobile response, mobile patrol. I spoke in recent weeks about a security company in California beginning a subscription model. Another company in Georgia already running a subscription model for several years. I have mentioned in recent months about companies who have taken on other related ancillary services of private security, but getting away of the static and going into more defined services. One security company providing canine, certified canine, not just off the street dog, but certified canine for private schools, for building searches, and their whole business is from the floor up, from the ground up, is all about the dogs. That's their specialty. That's a full-time business. Other companies are going with alarm response. There's a company in Detroit, Michigan. They've been around for a number of years, and they're big on conflict resolution. They train not only their own personnel, highly trained, but they also train their clients' employees on self-defense and personal defense and situational awareness. We need to think outside of the box because we're at a breaking point. We really can't provide the same old status quo. We can't make more money because the client only wants to pay a static guard wage. What do? We need to look outside of the box. We need to get more ancillary products. In some areas, private security respond. They have a contract to respond to non-violent incidents and act as a community service officer of sorts and take reports and investigate non-injury accidents in some areas. This is something we've known of a company in both Kentucky and Alabama who have for years acted as the security patrols for the town while police responded to anything major, but at night the police would patrol the town. Breaking point. We've been talking for the last few weeks about mental health. I never hear company owners, never hear the G4S, the Securitas, or Allied Universal, or any of the major or minor players in the private security industry talking about mental health. But our people have the same issues as anybody else. Can't pay the bills, family, home life issues, domestic issues, medical issues. Our officers work all sorts of crazy weeks, hours, nights, days. They rotate. They're on day shift one week, night shift next week. They're called in at all hours of the day and night. I've been there. I have several security companies, so yeah, I understand. It's part of the business. But we are at a breaking point, and we need to, as an industry, look at, is this model really working? It might be working for G4S. It might be working for Securitas, Allied Universal, or other major players in the private security industry. They have what's called lost leaders. Many businesses use the lost leader. They take contracts they know they're not going to make any money, but it's going to give them a market share. It's going to give them a presence in that area. And so they take it knowing that they are going to lose money on this particular account or client contract. But many small to mid-sized companies, they can't do that. We're at that point in the evolution of private security, just where police were 50 years ago, where we have to decide what direction we're going to go in. I myself, I would never start a static security company. First of all, more than 70% of our income goes to payroll. I would rather start 100% patrol service, as I recently have done. I would rather have alarm response, mobile response, incident response, accident response, K9, conflict resolution. Even some companies have added years ago EMS response, EMS for clients. I don't know how many times I've mentioned in our radio shows that EMTs bring big dollars to your business. Many companies, industrial companies, manufacturers have EMTs. Amazon has EMTs on site. Think about breaking point. Think about where you're at in your business or your career. I don't know how many dozens and dozens of security officers I've talked to about their career over the years, and they're at the same location they were when they started out in the security business. They're security officers or a supervisor making $15 an hour. Let's do something different. There are security companies like this one I mentioned in Detroit that has conflict resolution. They're big in training, education. Maybe that's a component that you need to add. Private Officer International offers a lot of services, consulting and otherwise, to our members, especially if you are a corporate member. Contact helpdesk@privateofficer.com if we can help you. But we are at a breaking point in the industry, and we need to start thinking outside of the box. So much is happening in the industry and the evolution of security that changes need to be made, just like they are being made in law enforcement. And although it may be uncomfortable to consider or to begin, it will probably be the right direction for you. That's going to conclude this episode of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Glad that you have joined us. Thank you for listening on the iHeart Radio Network, Amazon Radio, and the other platforms where our radio show is being broadcasted right now, simulcast and always on demand. Until the next time, be safe, be blessed, and we'll see you back here on the radio.